contribution sheet. I'll do it
Next week would be great with the assemblies. That'll be good. Okay. Well, if there's nothing else at this time, I'm going to step aside and let Eddie come on up and introduce Mr. Darling. Does that give you enough time?
All right, everybody. Good morning. How are y'all? Well, last week, y'all heard from Judge James Oakley, our elected county judge. And then, so this week, you're going to hear from the true leader of the county, Herb Darling. He may not be elected, but trust me, he knows a heck of a lot more than all of us put together about what's going on in the county and how to get things done. He knows just a little bit about everything, and I do mean that. Yesterday, road issue, he knows. Not only does he know how it all works, he'll at least know that, back in 1920, that used to be, XYZ. Okay? Tremendous asset to the county to be able to do that. And then we do that with subdivisions. He knows everything there is about subdivisions. And, that subdivision over there was built over here by this guy. And that guy's a real rat, and now he's over here trying to do this. So he's a tremendous asset to me. He's helped me quite a bit. Here recently, he gave an assist to the sheriff's office. So yeah, he ended a pursuit. This guy was running 90 miles an hour through Burnet, and Herb happens to get in his way at 90 miles an hour at the intersection of 281 and 29. And we're lucky to have Herb here because he almost became a permanent crash test dummy. But anyways, they got their guy, and the guy's sitting in jail. So anyways, Herb, come on up and let us know whatever you want to tell us.
I guess I need to stand up here.
He'll tell you where.
That's it. Tell me when you get close, Gil. Perfect, right here. First off, thank y'all for having me. County work is interesting in that most of the people do not know what government does, how we function, what we do. County government's really quite simple. We work off statutory law. That was the first thing I learned. If you haven't noticed, Burnet County is growing just a little bit. And my official title with the county is Development Services Director. And you're probably going, what does the Development Services Director do? We do pretty much anything with land except file deeds. That's the county clerk. Permitting, platting, addressing, all that is going to flow through us. It's very important we get an address correct. I would urge all of you, if you have any question at all, to double check your address through our office. If you need 911 or fire, and you don't have a correct address in the geodatabase, it is a possibility that they won't be able to find you. So make sure your address is correct. We see it all the time. Other things we do is floodplain. Occasionally we flood. About 3 years ago, had one of those about every 10 years. Another thing, I dabble with emergency management, get to see Chris quite a bit. It's not good. I don't like to see Chris during work, because if I'm seeing Chris during work, we've got a problem. Another thing my office does is the census. Now, I'm going to throw a little fact at you, and by the way, I hate PowerPoint. Judge Jones asked me if I was going to have a PowerPoint. No, I hate PowerPoint. There's 2 ways to die, and one of them's death by PowerPoint. So I don't do that. I'm going to throw a little fact at you. In 1990, Burnet County had 3 times as many cows as we did people. Can anybody tell me what the ratio was in 2020? We had 12 times as many people as we did cows. So Agriculture has dropped, population has risen. It's kind of interesting every year how we gauge growth in Burnet County, and every number I'm throwing to you today is the unincorporated areas. Cities are a completely different animal. So any number you hear from me today is not for the whole county. It's just for the unincorporated areas. In 2020, wrong century, in 2020, Burnet County busted $100 million in new construction out in the unincorporated areas. First time ever that the county had seen an estimated construction value of $100 million. In 2021, we were over $214 million in estimated construction value out there in the county. So that gives you an idea of how we're growing. Now, part of that is going to be the inflation. In 2020, you could probably get an average house built for $150, $175 square foot. Now that number's for just a plain house is going to be up in the $200 to $300 square foot, with some of the high ends going as high as $650 to $750 a square foot. We've seen people come in and buy a home on the lake, waterfront home, and a lot. They'll buy it for $1 million, bulldoze it, and build a big house back. It's just economic obsolescence of the existing structures. Our lakes were developed 40, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. And a lot of those structures are economically obsolete, but the cost is still there. It just amazes me that somebody'd spend $1 million and bulldoze a perfectly good house. We also saw a higher number of construction permits in 2021 than we've ever seen. We were up about 150 more permits for new construction out in the county over 2020. The one thing that really jumped at me, we do addressing out of our office. In 2020, we did about 850 addresses for the county. Given that, we do address for some cities. Some of the smaller cities will address for them. Burnet, Marble Falls, of course, do their own. In 2021, we issued over 1,775 addresses. So that's more than twice what we had done the previous year. We have a lot of growth up along the lakes. Everybody wants to live near the water. Somebody asked me the other day, well, where's it at? Marble Falls is booming, South Marble Falls. And we were talking about a ski shot shoot a while ago. Well, if you took a Burnet County map and put it on that wall and backed up a ways with number 9 shot and shot it, that's where the growth is. It's countywide. We're seeing a lot of rural areas. And by rural, I mean these people are 40 minutes from a loaf of bread. And they're building. 10 years of subdivision would come in. It would take them 3 or 4 years to sell out. And you would see a few houses a year in each subdivision. These people now are coming here. The highway corridors, of course, are going to see a lot of growth. You got the 71 corridor, you've got the 29 corridor, and the 183. Everybody tends to forget about the northeast part of the county. That part of the county is a little different from the rest of it, in that it's heavily influenced by Fort Hood and the retirees, the people coming out. I know I still have a chance to go through Clean on occasion. And what Clean was 45, 50 years ago compared to what it is now is unbelievable. I mean, it's pretty much solid all the way from Belton back to College Coast. And 35, 40 years ago, there was a lot of gaps in there. And they're encroaching into that northeast corner up in Burnet County. The impacts of growth and if I start running over hill, give me the yellow. But the impacts of growth are around us every day. I mean, you look out this window right here, and it just totally amazes me. The traffic that we've got on 281, the traffic you got on 71, 29. It's just unbelievable. And now, with the growth we're having, used to in the morning, if you had to go into Austin, everybody was going into Austin. Now you got just as much traffic coming this way from the trade crafts, coming out to work on the house. You got your plumbers, your electrician, your air conditioning people. They're coming out and hitting the Spicewood area out there. Drive in any of those subdivisions, and it looks like you kicked the top of the fire ant now. There's just people scurrying everywhere. But the impacts of growth put a demand on services, and I'm sure Captain Jed can tell you there that their call volume is just blowing through the roof. We're fortunate that real estate costs as much as it does, and that sounds funny. You're going, well, Herb, you're about half-ass crazy saying we're fortunate that real estate costs as much as it does. You got to have a certain level about you to be able to afford to live in Burnet County. And I don't want to say it, but the people we attract used to be retirees. That's all I saw. Never saw a swing set in the yard. That was my way of judging who was moving to Burnet County. If you had the Class 1 coach sitting in the big barn beside the house, pretty good chance there wasn't a swing set in the backyard or bikes and toys scattered in the driveway. Now you're seeing the swing sets, the bikes and toys. So you're going to see that growth impact our schools. We've really been fortunate with the growth we've had with our schools in that they haven't had to go crazy like Liberty Hill has. They're pushing a huge, like a $500 million bond package, and it just blows me away. So that you're going to see those things impact us. It also impacts your infrastructure. Used to you take a Sunday drive on a county road, never saw nobody. Now you get your butt run over. You better pay attention. When you top a hill, you got to stay on your side. It just puts a demand on it. The freeze we had last year, plus the increased traffic, has really hurt our county roads. The edges are getting eat up. Used to, you drive right down the middle of the road. If you did meet somebody, you'd ease off and go by each other. Well, now people are running 50 miles an hour, and they'll just throw one wheel on the edge. And before you know it, the whole edge of the road's gone. And it's tough for county commissioners to keep up with the limited resources they have. Now, I'm not plugging them. Some of them do a better job than others. But it's tough. Thank the county commissioner when you see them, because they do a whole lot of work with nothing. Right now, on the books in my office, I have 22 open subdivisions in the process or just finishing up. I've got another 8 or 10 in the conceptual stage. And by that, these are people that have met with us. When a tract of land comes up for sale in Burnet County, I know about it. I mean, I've immediately got 3 different developers I'm calling about it. We're starting to see, and it's creeping to, and municipalities will see it more than the county will at first, but it's going to come to the county in time, and that's going to be your higher density development. Right now, the things we're doing are 2 to 10 acre tracts out here in the county, but we've got one on the books that's coming in right on the county line on 71. It's going to be about 1,800 units on about 600 acres. So they're going to have to put their infrastructure in, which leads me to the last thing I want to visit with y'all today about, and that's water. All this growth has to have water. And primarily the stuff out in the county is dependent upon groundwater. And if you look at a map of Burnet County, or if you're like me, you're old and you have historical knowledge. I'm not old, I'm historical. You understand that there are areas of the county that have no groundwater, or very limited groundwater. Everybody thinks you're looking at me like you're surprised. What, there's no water out there? There's a lot of places where we have very limited or no groundwater at all. And if you look at a map of Burnet County right now, you'll see the holes in it. There's a reason there's holes there. It's because there's no water. And so we get a lot of, I'm trying to think of the correct word here. It's not stupid people, it's ignorant people. And ignorance, not being, if you think the meaning of the word ignorant, it just means you don't know any better. But we'll have people contact our office and say, hey, I got my house built. You guys come out here and connect our water. Doesn't work that way. So that's, water will be a limiting factor on growth in Burnet County. It'll have to come from surface water. There are areas of the county where groundwater is very plentiful, but water will regulate growth in Burnet County to a point. But any questions y'all ever have about anything, contact my office. We are doing 3 to 4 times work with the same number of people we had 2 or 3 years ago. And that's just because that's the way county budgets work. We're trying to grow, but if you hire another person, you got to have another desk. If you got another desk, you got to have an office or a room for it. And it's just hard to do, but I'm really blessed with good people. Even the things that I talked about with land, platting, replatting, 911 addressing, any of that, even if the questions I answer for the county, I'm probably better described as information disseminist. So that's what I'm saying. Anytime you guys have a question about Burnet County, what's going on, what do you need to do that? Even if I don't know or have that answer in my office, give me a call. We'll help you out. We'll really try to help you out. Does anybody have any questions for me? Come on, there's got to be at least one. Thank you.
So tell us about you. How did you wind up doing this job?
Repeat the question, please.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
That's
Zoom
okay.
Land. I forget I'm on TV. She wanted to know how I ended up in this job. It was default. It was really default. I was in my mid-30s contractor, and it was about the middle of July, and we were putting on a 100-grain metal roof. I was working with Melissa's dad that day, and it was so hot on that metal roof that you had to continually pick your feet up. And at the end of the day, I got home and I told my wife, I said, I believe something else come along. I'd have to look at it. And about 45 minutes later, my phone rang, and it was the county commissioner saying that they had created this job with the county, and he thought I would be a good fit. And 25 years later, here we are.
Is there like a TAC version, Texas Association of Counties group for you guys that y'all all meet together?
There is not a TAC group for us, and the reason being, now there are TAC groups out there. I work closely with TAC on the legislative side with Chapter 232 of the Local Government Code. I work with the Central Texas Environmental Health Association on Chapter 285 of the Health and Safety Code, and then work with the Texas Floodplain Management Association on 44 Code of Federal Regulations, Chapter 60.3 for floodplain administration. So yeah, I've got about 4 different organizations, but as far as one, just because every county's different. You get a small rural county. Burnet County's not really rural anymore, but you get a small county and you multitask. You have to. But like I said at the beginning, county government is really easy if you understand the laws. the statutes that we operate by. Everything we can do is dictated by law. We can't tell you that you've got to have 3 pink flamingos in your front yard unless there's a statute that codifies it and says you can have 3 pink flamingos, make everybody happy. Now, cities, on the other hand, you have general law and home rule. And in a general law, a city is a smaller city with a population less than 5,000. Correct me if I'm wrong, Eddie. Neil, I got 2 attorneys here, so I can't screw up too bad. But they operate much like we do. A general law city, you have statutes that you have to operate off of. But a home rule city can make stuff up. They can pretty much make their own rules. Yes, sir.
So my question is about the groundwater. Do the cedar trees in the county play as big a role in it as everybody thinks they do? Or so like if we were to just take 95% of them out, would those areas that have no groundwater, would they be able to hold groundwater?
That's a very good question, and what it was is do cedar trees, how do they basically affect groundwater? And if you remove them all, would it help? It'll definitely help. As far as the exact numbers out there, I can't tell you what an 8-inch cedar tree draws out of the ground a year. I've heard as much as 100 gallons a day, but
Yeah, I've heard 10 times what an oak does.
I have seen the effects, though, of clearing on streams. But one of the things that we're noticing on the water side, and this is spooky. This is real spooky. If you got a minute, I'll delve into the water side. I got 3 minutes. It's going to be tough. Right now, when you punch a well, the pressure in that aquifer pushes that water level up in that hole. It's called a static level. Your well, you may drill 200 feet before you hit water, but once you hit water, it pushes up to, say, 100 feet. Well, what we're seeing now with the impact on all these wells out there, that static level is dropping. And once that static level gets below that cap to where that aquifer is not pressurized anymore, those 20-gallon-a-minute wells go to 2. So that is an impact. That is, the clearing of cedar would definitely help us out a bunch. There, the Brandberger property down south, you've seen the effects of it. The restoration of the property led to the springs. But another thing we're seeing too is the number of wells, the inflows into the lakes. As we've had the growth increase, the inflows have decreased. So we're trying to see if there's a correlation. In fact, the Central Texas Groundwater District has got a study going right now at Krause Springs. The impact of wells onto these springs and the inflows into our lakes. If we're losing water into our lakes based on groundwater usage, then the calculations they've made for the lakes to be able to service the downstream population are going to be skewed.
What's major aquifers do we have?
Oh, you got a bunch. The biggest one's going to be the Ellenberger and the Trinity. The Trinity is a sand aquifer, and it sounds funny. Everybody says, well, there's a lot of water in the Trinity. Well, there is a lot of water in the Trinity, and you've got the upper Trinity, middle Trinity, lower Trinity. But it's a transmissive aquifer. In other words, that water has to move through the sand. And some areas the sand's a little bigger in diameter, so the water moves a little quicker. Other places it's smaller and more tightly compacted, so it moves slower. You've got the Ellenberger, which is karst aquifer, and by that I mean there are just holes in the ground that have water. There's rivers flowing underground. There are caverns full of water that feed from cracks, crevices, streams in. Those are your 2 major. But you've got a lot of minors out around. You got the Hickory. Ouch, put the pressure on me. I can't remember all
Do
the
we have
names.
any part of the Glen Road?
There is, yes, sir. Some portions of the county, you've got the Glen Rose aquifer in it. It just, Burnet County is such a geologically diverse county. You're right here on the edge of the Llano uplift, so you got a whole lot of culminations of geophysical features under the ground.
What's the aquifer that's up here in the Tobyville area? You know, that was.
Yeah, boy, now you're really pushing my.
It's called the granite something.
Right.
Well, there's a lot of different theories about the Tobyville area. We have. I'm an old man. I told you I got historical data, but a lot of the old timers they're gone now. Jack Rogers is a guy used to get a lot of historical data from. Back in the 20s and 30s, that area didn't have groundwater. Now, this is what they said. We don't have any proof of that for sure. But they said when Lake Buchanan was filled, they suddenly had groundwater there. So, did the lake hit a recharge feature up there and it just charged that area up? But the area just west of Marble Falls, a lot of your wells are 100 feet deep or less.
I'll give you programming up to it too. I can keep talking.
Thank
told
you
you.
so much. Wow. She just asked how many people are in his department. There are 3.
Well,
So
there's 4.
4.
I don't count because I never worked.
What a gift. Eddie, thank you so much for bringing Herb over. We're so blessed to have such a diverse group of speakers and helping us help us stay tuned into the community we live in. And knowing so much more about the underworkings and underpinnings helps us be better stewards as we're out figuring out our priorities to serve the community. What a gift. Thank you for taking time with us. I'm going to give you another. I just thank you so much. That was very interesting. Very, very interesting. All right. Is there anything else for the good of Rotary?
What he didn't tell you is what he's really good at is fishing.
Oh, he's good at fishing.
He was once a professional fisherman.
Wow. So may I ask, we're speaking vocational, did you go to college?
Yeah,
And did you finish? Did you graduate?
2 years.
2 years? Well, that's beautiful.
I do have I'm lying to you. I got my first degree was at Texas A&M. It was social alcoholism.
Oh, yeah. So Herb is sharing that he has an associate degree. What is that in?
Business management.
Business management. Beautiful. So as we're, y'all, that's a whole group of our community and our kiddos that are growing up and young adults that are now going back, wanting to go back to school. And they don't have to go to a 4-year school and go into debt. There's so many beautifully fulfilling things to do out there. So thank you. We may be tapping you in to speak to if we can get the attention of some young folks. I think it'd be great. Awesome. All right. If you guys will stand with me and join me in the 4-way pledge. The 4-way test. I'm sorry, not the pledge. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? And will it be fun? Thank you guys. Have a blessed day today.
No, it's not. It's not. We're not. There are some people who used to have blue stuff.